This is Mythos History. I am your narrator. We've brought you several types of stories over the course of this podcast, but this one is nothing more than high adventure, love, vengeance, with a touch of supernatural. So let's see what this dimension has for us. Two men walked down the street in the tropical city on a muggy night. The one man had long brown hair and beard. The other looked similar, but with black hair. Due to their common dress that pirates and criminals favored, they blended right in. The brown-haired man stopped and looked at the large estate at the top of the hill, outside of town. The black-haired man stopped as well. But look at that. The brown-haired man nodded. I think we have found what we've been looking for. Both men walked into the nearest pub. The pub was mostly empty, but it was festive and brightly lit. Musicians played local music to entertain what patrons were there. The man walked to the bar. The tender saw him and walked over. "What are you having?" The brown-haired man answered with, "2 rums." The tender walked away and came back with 2 mugs. The black-haired man tossed a gold coin on the bar. "Keep the rest if you want more. Keep the rum coming." The tender nodded and grabbed the coin. The brown-haired man looks at the tender. He lives at the top of the hill. The bartender points to an old man with long gray hair and a beard. "Talk to him." "Another rum," the black-haired man says. The tender left and came back with another mug. The men take it and walk over to the elderly man. They sit down with the man, and the old man looks up from his bottle. "Leave. I don't want any company." "Easy there, old salt. We just want to talk," the brown-haired man says. "Perhaps this will help your mood," the black-haired man adds as he slides over the mug. The old man looks at the mug and then the men. "I don't drink with strangers." The brown-haired man smiles. A smile that looked off, like he really didn't know how to. "My name is Daniel. This is my friend Peter." The old man grunts. "You wouldn't be the captains of the Twin Saber, would you?" The men smile. Daniel puts his arms on the table. "I see you have heard of us." "I have. What do you want?" "Well, who lives at the top of the hill?" Peter asks. "Leave well enough alone," the old man answers. "We are just looking to be entertained while we're at port, old soul." The old man takes a sip and leans back. "Some stories are too big to be told. It's impossible to shrink them down where a person can hear and understand all of it." Daniel scoffs. "Come on, old soul. Let's hear it." The old man thought for the moment, then spoke. The man of that house was the greatest, most feared captain the seas ever had. Daniel and Peter leaned in. "I suppose I should start where he started, as a boy. He grew up in a small fishing village or north of here. I suppose you could say his life was like any others. He had a mother and a father. Most times he had food, but not always. When he was old enough, his father started taking him out to the sea to help provide for the family. At that time, his mother started to teach him how to read. She could barely do it herself, but she demanded he learn. Considering her abilities at reading, it wasn't long before his mind outgrew hers. When a letter arrived, or what have you, he started reading the correspondence. As the boy grew towards manhood, his father took him out fishing for the day. Peter interrupts. Hurry up, old salt. Get to the good parts. Who cares about a whelp in his fishing pole? The old man takes a drink and looks at Peter before talking again. Mind your mouth. I see you have a lack of manners as well as patience. Daniel smiles behind his mug. The old man licks his lips and starts talking again. As I was saying, the boy and his father went to harvest what the sea would provide. When they were out there, they saw a ship of Captain Hoot pass. Daniel puts his mug down. I remember stories about him. He was a right bastard. From what I can remember, Hoot wasn't his proper name. It was given to him because of the way he would laugh during raids of other ships. It was meant to be a slight, but he took it the other way. The old man nodded. Correct on both counts. I hope as we speak he is burning well in hell. Anyway, the boy and his father didn't know how to read the flags. They didn't know who was passing in the distance toward the village. As the day started to slowly fade away, they went home, only to find all the men and children killed. All the women were dead as well. That is, after they were raped. Or maybe not. Such was the tactic of Captain Hoot, to provide the danger to the land before negotiations with the landlocked lords of the said land. The grief the two had was immense in its size. Did they rebuild? Peter asked. No. Everything was razed to the ground. Before they buried the boy's mother, they discovered she was pregnant. They didn't need to be doctors to know this. Her entrails were spread on the ground, her blood mixed with the dirt to make mud. Days after, the boy went to go speak with his father. He was standing on the sand looking out to the sea. It was then the father told the boy about his plan. What plan? Daniel wonders. Vengeance. The father knew now it was a pirate that killed his wife and village. He didn't know which one, but he had a plan to figure out who it was. He told the boy, and when the boy agreed, he knew the boy's word was true, for his eyes burned with anger like his did. The plan was ambitious, to say the least. The next day, he took the boy to the nearest port. They scanned the harbor and didn't see the ship that destroyed their village. Satisfied, he sold the boy to Captain Hard, captain of the ship, the Queen's Pride. He sold the boy? What kind of simpleton plan is that? Peter spoke in disbelief. You will see, since you have no patience. At least act like you do. The insult had the desired effect on Peter. The old man took a drink and continued. The boy walked aboard the Queen's Pride. Without any hesitation, the captain put him to work. No job was off limits or too hard for the boy to do as far as Captain Hard was concerned. The boy swabbed the deck, helped make the food, patched the sails, and the like. If he didn't perform the duties well, he was beaten. As time went along, he was rarely beaten. Captain Hart grew to depend on him. The boy became a trusted crewmate. Not there wasn't rough seas along the way. In the early days, the crew beat and picked on him. One day, one of them went to the crow's nest to have a run at his expense. He ended up dead on the deck, his body contorted from his fall from such a great height. The crew wanted him to walk the plank. Captain Hard, however, saw the whole incident from his quarters. He refused to punish the boy. He said the boy had shown he had honor and defended himself, so punishment wasn't necessary. The crew stopped the cruelty after that. In time, they would respect the boy greatly. The boy was taken ashore by Captain Hard. Captain Hard had to negotiate a new deal with the lord of the small island. This island provided security for the Queen's pride if it was needed, for a small fee, of course. As Captain Hard and the Lord spoke, the boy slyly looked the contract over his captain's shoulder. Before the handshake, the boy inquired about the contract. Captain, is it unusual for the town to request increasing payments for every time a ship is docked? Captain Hard looked at the Lord with an angered-filled face. No, it's not standard. The Lord started to protest. Your crew member is mistaken, the boy countered and pointed at the section of the contract. No, I'm not. It says right here, every time the ship docks for the purpose of shelter, the town is to be paid 100% more than the last time, said ship doctor. Captain Hart put his hand on the hilt of his sword. You have negotiated in bad faith. The Lord protested. No. Captain Hart, this has to be a mistake. We will fix it immediately. The Lord snapped his fingers, and a man rushed over and takes the contract. The Lord smiles. We both have profited from our relationship. This is nothing but an oversight. We would change the fees. Captain Hard leaned forward. You would change it to nothing. The Lord looked shocked. What? You tried to swindle me. Now you will waive all fees to make up for this. But, the Lord interjected, or my board crew will be given leave so they can find entertainment in your fine town. There's no need for that. I agree. To make up for this mistake, all fees will be waived. Captain Hard stood. Good. I'll be back tomorrow morning to sign the new contract. The Lord gave a fake but nervous smile. I will see you in the morning then, friend. As they walked back to the Queen's Pride, Captain Hard spoke with the boy. How did you know the contract was crooked? I just read it, the boy answered. You can read? Where did you learn? Yes, my mother taught me. Can you not read? No. As a matter of fact, very few, if any, captains can read. Captain Hart puts a hand on the boy's shoulder. As of now, you are a full crew member and entitled to a fair share of any booty. You will also be my main negotiator with any lords. The boy smiles. Thank you, Captain. Peter interrupts. Can you please get to a non-boring part? Shut your mouth, Will, the old salt continued talking. As a full crew member, the boy now had to take part in raids and such. Instead of bringing cannonballs to the cannons during the fights at sea, the boy showed that he was invaluable in raids. Raids on towns, raids on other ships, it didn't matter. The boy showed he had a keen mind and could be bloodthirsty. The boy and his crew, however, was tested by the attack of the Red Wrath. Daniel slaps his hand on the table. Wait, are you telling us the story of Captain Howe? The old salt finishes his drink and slams his mug on the table. I am. I know this tale very well. I've been told it many times by the man himself. I'm out of rum. Shame. I can't finish without it. Daniel turns and yells, Keep! More rum! Peter scowls. We bought one mug already. He doesn't need any more. Shut up, Peter, Daniel said. The pub wench brought a new mug and took the empty one away. The old salt took a drink and started talking. Where was I? Oh, yes, the attack of the Red Wrath. It was a calm day, slight breeze, still water. The sun was shining. The lookout on the crow's nest saw a ship in the distance. He tracked it until it got closer so he could see the flag. When he did, he sounded the alarm. Once the crew heard it was the Red Wrath approaching, they panicked. The boy and Captain Hard came on the deck from different parts of the ship. Quickly, Captain Hard went to the boy. You will be my second. Help me repel this attack. Well, for as long as you can. This was a cursed promotion for the boy. Captain Hard's former second had died just a week before. Now the boy was to help coordinate a counterattack on the most feared ship on the seas. You see, the Red Wrath would occasionally attack another ship just for sport. The boy and Captain Hard ran across the ship barking orders. Captain Hard ordered flag to be raised, trying to communicate that they were in no danger and to be left alone. After a few minutes, the lookout closed his looking glass and reported that the Red Wrath had said no, and that they would all be killed. Be raised to a higher level now. The Red Wrath drew near and started to turn broadside, showing polished cannons sticking out of its sides. The boy commanded that the Queen's Pride continue straight. No sooner than he said that, the Red Wrath had finished turning and fired its cannons. Because of its orientation, most of the cannonballs missed the Queen's Pride, and it only took a couple hits. Captain Hard commanded ramming speed. Queen's Pride was a very fast ship. Quickly, it closed the distance and slammed into the Red Wrath. Before the hit, the boy commanded that the men prepare to board. A second before impact, a large group of men started to swing towards the Red Wrath. As they swung, musket balls and wood shrapnel filled the air. After impact, Captain Hard ordered the boarding plank lowered. It fell, and its hooks caught around the railings of the Red Wrath, capturing it, basically. From there, more men ran on the plank and jumped on the deck of the Red Wrath. The sounds of swords clashing and muzzle fire filled the air. It was then that the captain of the Red Wrath walked out from below deck. At the time, captains did not take part in battles when they started. He started barking orders to turn the tide of battle. And that's when it happened. Daniel and Peter were both listening intensely. A man dropped down and a sword was jammed into his back. It was the boy. He had hung on the cargo nets on the sides and waited for his opportunity. He knew the captain would walk out any minute and just waited. If you think about it, the boy won this battle with one strike. Within a half hour, every man on the Red Wrath was dead. Some of the more cowardly members ran below deck. They died alone in the darkness. The Queen's Pride celebrated. Captain Hart congratulated the boy. His one decision to keep the Queen's Pride straight and ram the Red Wrath caused this victory. When asked why he did that, the boy simply answered that they weren't used to such aggressive actions. The boy went on and said that he thought that they might catch him off guard, and we did. Which is true. Normally, ships both turn broadside and let the cannons do much of the damage. The Red Wrath had such a reputation that most ships just gave up to fate. In turn, the crew of the Red Wrath had become complacent. Later that day, the boy was given command of the Red Wrath. Even with its damage, it was still seaworthy. The boy and Captain Hard made an agreement of partnership. They agreed to never attack each other and to help if needed. Some men were given permission to join the crew of the Red Wrath. The next morning, it set sail to a venture, and the boy stood on the upper part of the deck. But now he was called Captain Howe. Daniel sat back in his chair. So, that's how he started. Yes, the old salt answered. How long did the two ships remain partners? Peter asked. 2 years. Eventually, the Queen's Pride was chased by the King's fleet and sunk. Captain Howe took this hard. He declared war on the fleet, and one by one he sunk the whole thing. The king was so embarrassed that he struck a treaty with Captain Howe for peace, to save whatever face he had left. This led to the king's downfall eventually. This was seen as a weakness, and he was assassinated a year later. But the new king still holds up the treaty, Daniel adds. The old salt takes a drink. Aye, funny how that works. As Captain Howe started his fame, he made changes to the Red Wrath, known only by his crew. He changed the sails and added a couple more to make it faster. He got rid of some cannons and replaced the rest with more powerful cannons. That gave the Red Wrath more powerful firepower and helped with its speed. Captain Howe did as captains do, capturing booty and more fame. From time to time, he would go to a certain port. It was small, with a very small village around it. Captain Howe would go to the pub there and speak with Keith. He would give him a substantial part of his personal booty. Over time, the port grew to what you see here. Are you saying this port was built by Captain Howe? Daniel asked in disbelief. Aye, the keep was his father. It was all part of their plan. The plan the father had was for them to split up. The boy would take the life of a pirate, and the father, since he was older, would try to form a port somewhere. The father's part was to lay in wait and gather information on Captain Hoot, and hopefully the boy would be a captain as well, and hunt him down, and his ship the Laughing Fool. Daniel leans forward. How do you know all this? I doubt a captain of Howe's reputation would just talk to a regular person. The old salt rubs his mouth. I'm not a regular person. I was his second command. Now Peter leans forward. You're Cutthroat Curtis? Aye, I am. Daniel sips his rum. How did you gain his employ? Nobody knows your beginning. Curtis smiles. I was aboard the Killing Sunset. Not on my will, you see. Red Wrath raided it. I broke free in the confusion and got my vengeance on the crew of the Killing Sunset. Captain Howe captured me and asked me who I was. I explained my story and how I refused to pay the Killing Sunset for debts they said I owed. I don't know what it was about me, but Captain Howe offered me a spot on his crew. It could have been my age, for we were about the same age, or if it was my story similar to his. But he offered me the Killing Sunset and offered a similar deal he had with the Queen's Pride. I turned it down. I came from land. What the hell did I know about being a captain of a ship? I did want to be successful in the end, so I joined the Red Wrath's crew and learned the ways of the seas. It took a while, but eventually I became Captain Howe's second. That's my story. and that's all I'm going to tell. I want to tell his story. Fair enough, Daniel replies. Curtis takes another drink. Captain Hal scuttled the killing sunset and took to the sea. From time to time, he would come here to talk with his father. One day, he stormed out of here and commanded everyone to return to the Red Wrath. A large, and I mean large, treasure ship had just been seen. This ship was from the Jade Empire, and this was back in the early days of their exploring the larger world. We set sail to the coordinates where it was last seen. We searched for days. Finally, we found it near sunset on one particular day. God, it was huge. It always took my breath away every time I saw it. Still to this day, I feel the same way. The damn thing was 400 feet long and 171 feet wide. It was massive. Standing on the deck, you felt like you were standing on the plains. Captain Hal saw it and lusted deeply from his heart. He wanted that ship and was willing to do anything to get it. So how did he get it? Daniel asked. Surprise attack. The crew from the Jade Empire wasn't accustomed to the way we did things out here. They were used to the fact that their ship was so large it would deter any attacks. Normally, that tactic worked, except Captain Hal wanted that ship for his own and desired it from the deepest parts of his heart. As dark fell, he commanded that we follow. He commanded the mainsail to be raised. Thanks to the trade winds, we picked up speed so fast we stumbled from the jolt. Quickly, we caught up to it. Captain Hal gave the command, and we swung and landed on the deck of the treasure ship the moment of impact, just like before. We stormed the ship as Captain Hal swung at a lower height and crashed through the window of the captain's quarters. We fought like hell, and they fought like hell. They would go on to lose because they had no direction because of Captain Hal had killed the captain. And I killed my counterpart. Much to our surprise, we killed all the crew and took the ship. Oh, how we celebrated. Captain Hal took command. We scuttled the Red Wrath after we transported everything from it to the new ship. There was enough room for the treasure already gotten and the things from the Red Wrath. Captain Hal came back here and retrofitted it. He changed the sails, for he didn't know how well the sails were made in the Jade Empire and how well they would work. After giving most of the treasure to his father, Captain Hal pulled out port with the new ship now called the Kraken Lord. So that's how he got the ship, Daniel says. Yes, Curtis answered, and then continued. We ravaged the seas with the Kraken Lord. Soon after, we came here, and that's when Captain Hal learned the location of Captain Hoot. Needless to say, we took off after him like the wind. Captain Hoot had been busy over the years, raiding from here to there. His ship, the Laughing Fool, had gained a massive reputation along the way. The Kraken Lord caught up with Captain Hoot in a quick manner. We turned broadside and unleashed hell. The size and amount of cannons that the Kraken Lord contained made sure that the Laughing Fool had no chance. It was shredded. Surrender came quickly. We boarded and took Captain Hoot hostage. The crew protested, saying how would they get back to port. The Laughing Fool had taken so much damage it was no longer seaworthy. Under the captain's orders, we left them. Last I heard, they sunk within a couple of days. There was no survivors as far as I know. What happened to Captain Hoot? Peter asked. Horrible, horrible vengeance, a lifetime in the making. The captain stood across from each other on the deck of the Kraken Lord. Well, Captain Howe did. The captured captain was forced on his knees. Captain Howe gave the sentence of death. Captain Hoot protested. He said that would be unlawful. This wasn't a battle. He was a prisoner, and there would be no honor in killing him now. I remember Captain Howe leaning over him and saying, "Damn the law of the seas." He wasn't doing this as a captain. He was doing it as a boy who lost his mother to Captain Hoot's hands. The captain said he had no idea what Captain Howe was talking about. Captain Howe went on to explain that day when Captain Hoot would raid the land before setting up deals with the local lords. As Captain Howe spoke, the color of Captain Hoot's face drained. At the end, after all was explained, he just simply whispered, "I know you. The only time we saw anybody at sea was that day. A boy and a man in a small fishing boat. How much trouble could they cause?" I thought, what were you going to do? Nothing, I thought. Captain Howe sneered and said, "You should have blown us out of the water. A mistake you would pay for with your life." What happened haunts me to this very day. Captain Hoot was sentenced to death by Keelhaul. He was stripped naked. One of us jumped over the side with chains. He swam under the boat and came up the other side. We chained Captain Hoot's hands and feet. Jesus Christ, Daniel whispers. You know where this is going. We lowered the captain into the water and started pulling the chains on the other side of the ship. Being dragged under a ship isn't that bad. You just have to hold your breath. But see, that doesn't kill you. All of the barnacles covering the hull of the ship will shred you apart if pulled tightly against it, which is what we did. Captain Hoot came up the side out of blood that was in the water. He left a trail of blood on the side of the ship as he was pulled up. His eyes were rolling in the back of his head, and he was screaming. Captain Howe commanded he go back in. The second time, there was less blood, and the entirety of his backside was so shredded we could see bones. Under orders, we unchained him and laid him on the deck. He died a couple minutes of us laying him down. Captain Howe decapitated him and brought his head back here to his father. What about the body? Peter asked. We threw it in the sea. The blood from the keelhaul drew sharks. They made quick work of his body. Captain Howe and his father mourned the death of their loved one. They sat in silence for days. They had done it. They had avenged their village. But what now? They talked and they both agreed at this point this is the only life they could live, so things continued. After Captain Howe came back from his trip, later he told me he went to where his mother's grave was with his father to give her a final goodbye and then tell her that her death was avenged. What did Captain Howell's father do with the head? Daniel wonders out loud. Curtis points to above the bar. It's right there, above the bottles. That's Captain Hoot's skull, serving as a warning to all enemies of Captain Howell and this port. After that unpleasantness, we took to the seas. We saw lands and sights that few ever have, exotic spices, treasure, as well as exotic women, which we had our fill of at strange ports. Most of our kind will never have the luck that we had. They do some raids and enjoy some fights. Our sails were filled with rarefied air, but there was a change. We were at a port. The local governor invited Captain Howe to a ball. So great was our fame at that time. And it was at this ball he met her. Who? Daniel asked. Sienna. She was a pagan priestess, a loved member of the community and a leader. Even a simpleton like me could see the connection when they first laid eyes on each other. Their love burned like fire. Like many of her kind, Sienna was kind, intelligent, and her beauty was so great it almost hurt your eyes to look at her. I remember that when she stood in the torchlight, it made her mocha skin seem to glow. She was quite the sensual woman. We would go on raids, but in the end he always came back to her. For what it's worth, the crew celebrated this. We were rich, seeing things most never will. And when Sienna came aboard, not one eyebrow was raised. Nobody gave a shit. The captain and Sienna's love had a bit of jealousy and possession elements to it. Her possession was stronger. If another woman came near, her jealousy would rise to the surface. I was there when they were joined for life. She made a vow that she would hurt anyone that would hurt him, that she would help him if needed, no questions. He made a similar vow to her, and that's what happened. Joined at the hip and for life, they blazed a trail to the highest levels of fame and fortune. Then the trouble began. There was rumors that the Jade Empire had sent a ship looking for the treasure ship that left and never came back. We paid it little mind. The seas were large and seemed never-ending. We left to raid, and when we came back, the port where Sienna lived was gone. Fire and rubble was the only things left. We docked and tried to help the people still alive. That was when we learned of what happened. The Jade Empire ship docked and was asking questions. They learned Captain Howell was responsible for the missing ship, and that in fact he made it his own. The Jade Empire was particularly offended by this. They demanded that the port tell them where we were. Sienna refused and in fact killed one of the crew members of the Jade Empire ship. Why haven't you said the name of the Jade Empire ship? Peter asked. They don't name their ships. They keep track of all the ships by numbers. Easier to keep track of the Jade Empire's expansive fleet that way. It's more efficient for the court to keep track, just using numbers. The ship left after a vicious fight at the port city. From what we heard, Sienna was a devil during the fight and led the others on the battlefield with honor and fierceness. To tell you the truth, I would expect nothing less from her. After the Jade Empire ship left, it attacked. The cannons destroyed the port within minutes. The death of his wife and earlier his mother under similar circumstances made Captain Howe's heart grow hard and cold like the grave. He declared war, but this was different, however. He asked only for volunteers. We knew this could very well be a one-way trip. How many of you volunteered, Daniel asked. The wench returns and replaces the empty mugs with full ones. Curtis takes a sip and answers. All of us. Captain Howe was our leader. He had taken us to heights none of us ever dreamed of. We were a ragtag group of misfits and had become legends because of him. Besides, what better way for a pirate to die than to die in battle against all odds? So we set sail. The hunt for the Jade Empire ship had begun. As we searched, Captain Howe stayed in his quarters, brooding, thinking. We made a quick stop at a port to do some retrofitting. These were dark days. The captain lost his wife, and the crew lost friends and lovers as well. The captain had lost his father a couple years after the death of Captain Hoot. So the captain didn't even have him to depend on for advice and wisdom during this time. After we made the alterations, we started the hunt again. For 2 months, we searched. We all wanted justice, but looking for something and not finding it began to wear down nerves. That was until that day. I remember it was pre-dawn and the lookout saw lights in the distance. As the sun broke and we saw the Jade Empire ship. My God. The stories were true. It was damned huge. It was about twice the size of the Kraken Lord. Captain Howe wasted no time. He ordered that we give chase. We caught the Empire ship slightly off guard. It started taking evasive measures. We chased, and because the Kraken Lord was altered, it was faster than what it was, and they weren't used to it. They weren't able to shake us and turn broadside and blow us out of the water. We drew closer, and Captain gave orders for our new additions. 2 sections, one on either side of the masthead, opened. 2 smaller cannons stuck out of the holes, and they were slightly angled. They fired, and 2 harpoons flew. They struck the Empire ship just below the waterline. The Kraken Lord shook when the Empire ship started pulling us. The captain ordered the sails to be lowered. The Kraken Lord came to a full stop. The extra weight of it had its desired effect. When the Empire ship continued, it pulled the chains tight, and while it was moving and the Kraken Lord being still, the harpoons were ripped out. So, asked Peter. Curtis blows off the interruption and continues. It's exactly what Captain Howe wanted. Now there was 2 holes in the Empire ship below the waterline. As soon as he saw the wood splinter and fly in the air, he gave orders to raise sails. Such a crazy move. The balls the captain had. While we were still, until we were at top speed, we were sitting ducks. We continued the chase. Before we reached full speed, the Empire ship was almost able to turn broadside and blow us to Kingdom Come. It was a tense few minutes right there, I can tell you that. The Kraken Lord kept some distance and took pot shots. The Empire ship got us a few times as well. As the battle continued, the Empire ship began to slow. It was then when the captain ordered the Kraken Lord to turn broadside. The second we were in position, we fired. The back of the Empire ship took massive damage, making the taking on water situation worse for it. We did the last maneuver once more. Finally, a white flag rose. We kept the distance and watched the Empire ship sink, ignoring all signs for help. We didn't celebrate. We just felt a sense of relief. We had gotten justice for our friends and loved ones. Curtis sits in silence. Daniel finally speaks. Then what happened? Nothing. Captain Howe disbanded the Kraken Lord. Everyone took their share and returned to land with enough booty to reach their neck. Some returned to the sea to regain the adventure they had. I came here with my captain. I served him then, and I serve him now. So that estate belongs to Captain Howe? Peter asked. Curtis takes a drink and slams the mug back down on the table. You don't understand. He owns this whole island and everything on it. Daniel shifts in the seat. What of the Kraken Lord, and why did he stop? Well, if you live this life long enough and don't die, we become older and lose the taste for adventure. No matter how high you climb in fame and fortune. Don't forget, he never entered this life for the adventure and fame. He did so to avenge his mother and his village. The Kraken Lord? It's here, shipshape, and can take to the seas tonight if the captain wanted. I see, Daniel says. Whatever you want to do, I would advise against it. What are you talking about? Peter demands. I know about the Twin Saber, a upstart ship only known for raiding fishing ships. I know the temptation of killing Captain Howe and taking the Kraken Lord may be too much to ignore, but I beg you to do so. Why would you say that? Daniel wonders. For one, it's the shortcut the new generation favors. Fame not earned never stays long. Besides, you would have to deal with her. Who? Peter asked. Sienna. After her death, the captain started acting different. He would just listen to signs. He would make decisions that would always pay off, no matter the odds. The captain never got injured. It was like he was being protected, which he was, by her. Make a move against him and she will kill you. This port will become your graveyard. What a bunch of shit, Peter says angrily and gets up. Don't mind him. Thank you for the story. It was an honor to meet you, Daniel says as he gets up. Curtis nods and the men leave the tavern. He whispers into his mug as he brings it up. It is done. I hope you get the peace you've always wanted, my friend. Peter and Daniel walks up the large hill towards the estate. What a crock at the end, Peter grumbles. But everything before it was amazing. I never knew most of the story. The Kraken Lord and Captain Howe always seemed like a myth. To know that they were real is amazing. The amazing thing is, when we kill him and take the Kraken Lord, we will be famous and the others will fear us. They will wonder who would take on such a ship. We will see. What the old salt left out was the facts are that things are different now. Raiding fishing ships gets old quick. If one wants to succeed in this day, they must make a splash. Taking the Kraken Lord would be a hell of a splash. This may pan out. Maybe we shouldn't have killed that keep a couple months ago that tipped us off that it was here. If he wanted to live, he should have kept his mouth shut. The men make it to the estate. They break open a shuttered window and climb in. They were both awestruck at the furnishings and treasure inside. It filled their greedy hearts with more desire. They made their way to the master bedroom. Daniel stands beside the bed and pulls out his personal muzzle gun. The old man, laying in the bed, opens his eyes and slightly turns his head to see him, but he says nothing. "Honored to meet you, sir," Daniel says as he pulls the trigger. Gunshot rings out and blood covers the bed, headboard and all. "Now, let us get what we've worked so hard for," Peter says, smiling. "Indeed, our days of fishing ships are over," Daniel says as he puts his gun away. The wind picks up and blows all the shutters open. A low moan fills the air. "The hell's that?" asks Peter. "Our fate on the way. Let's find the Kraken Lord." They stopped walking when a figure appeared in front of them. The room fills with the sound of the drums. From its features, they could tell that the figure was a woman. Her eyes glowed, and her body was the color of night and smoky in appearance. Her hair waved in the wind that didn't exist. Peter screams as he pulls out a sword, but it had no effect. It passed right through the figure like it was made out of smoke. Daniel pulls out his gun, reloads it quickly, and fires. The ball passes right through the figure as well and becomes buried in the wall. The figure rushes them, and they died screaming in the night. The figure then went to the bed with her ethereal arms caressing what was left of the face of her love, her husband, Captain Hal. Sometime later, Curtis walks into the bedroom. He looks at the figure and the body laying in the bed. Then he just asks, "Is it done?" The figure nods its head. Curtis takes a moment and then looks the figure in the eye. "Protect him in the next life." And the figure nods and Curtis walks out of the room. Not everybody can live a life of high adventure in this, but is what Curtis said true? Do you lose your lust for life and adventure as time goes on? If you were to ask him, I think he would say yes. And I believe Captain Hal would agree.